One of the world's most accomplished mountaineers, Ueli Steck, has been killed in an accident on Mount Everest. Known as the Swiss Machine, he was climbing alone in preparation for a new route up the mountain. He'd won numerous awards and was celebrated for the speed of his climbs. Alexandra Mackenzie reports.
Mount Everest, dangerous and daunting, even for the most experienced of climbers.
The idea is just climbing from base camp, just on the normal route to Camp 2.
Ueli Steck was preparing to tackle a new and particularly difficult route without oxygen.
To the top of Everest. I think it's possible, but we don't know, and that's exactly the challenge, and that's exactly the interesting thing. Nobody has done that before, so I think the chance is there that it's possible, but I don't know.
So he knew the dangers of Everest. He had reached the summit without oxygen in 2012. In 2015, he climbed all 82 alpine peaks over 4,000 metres in just 62 days. And he conquered the north face of the Eiger in less than 3 hours. Ueli Steck was on Everest to acclimatise when it's thought that he slipped and fell. His body has been recovered and tributes have been paid.
He broke amazing records by a mixture of modesty, humility, and great ability, on top of athleticism of the most amazing type.
I'll peak again. Pretty cool.
The climbing community says it has lost a pioneer. He was known for his speed and ruthlessly methodical approach, with an ability to push himself to the limits of human endurance. Alexandra Mackenzie, BBC News.
Joining us now is the mountaineer Alan Hinks, who knew Ueli Steck well. Alan, thank you very much for joining us. Tell us how you got to know him. He sounds like quite an extraordinary man.
I think I should first say, my heart goes out to the people of Switzerland, where he's really a national treasure, and I think that's a great tribute from Ran, he was one of the world's greatest mountaineers ever, unique in that how he pushed the boundaries, climbing unroped solo, very fast on technical ground. He made his name by soloing the north face of the Eiger, which most people have heard of. I think to put him in perspective to non-climbers listening, he was like the Wayne Rooney or the David Beckham of the mountaineering world, really. He'll be a great loss, and he was a lovely bloke. He was just a packet of power. He was just a coiled spring, an unbelievably well-honed athlete as well.
Incredibly fit, of course, to be able to cope with the speed of which that he climbed, but he knew the risks, as you all do.
He did, yeah. It's even on camera of him saying he knew the risks and that he ought to give this up before he gets killed. We do all know the risks in there, but for the grace of God, I was nearly killed last winter in the Lake District on an ice climb. So you don't have to be on Everest for it to happen. The irony is he wasn't on particularly technically difficult ground where he was killed, which is what often happens to us mountaineers, sadly. Psychologists would say we all have a little bit of cognitive dissonance, I guess. He knew the dangers, but he was prepared to accept the risks, and he was an outlier. He was pushing the boundaries of difficulty and what was possible.
Those of us who don't climb, who don't really understand the draw of it, the risk must be some of its appeal. That what you're pitting yourself against.
I guess it is. Sometimes it's been likened to a drug. It's our drug. We need to pit ourselves against those difficulties, but we do mitigate those risks. Ueli was well trained. He trained himself up. He was honed to the, like an Olympic athlete, or like somebody on the Tour de France today, Tour de Yorkshire, should I say today. He knew what he was doing, and so those risks were mitigated. He definitely didn't have a death wish. No mountaineer has a death wish. I always say that. We have a life wish, and we climb to live. We don't climb to die. And Ueli was a fellow mountain guide, and he just loved being in the mountains. That's where he was at home. When
a member of your community dies like this, what impact does it have on the rest of you?
Well, this will have a big impact even in Britain to people who don't even know him. Even armchair mountaineers know Ueli Steck. He was the man of the moment, so to speak. It does make you think, it does make you realise your own mortality and it can happen to you. It doesn't put you off, just as, you come across a car crash, sadly, at times, and you still drive your car. So we are very practical, but this is a sad loss. He's a great mountaineer, and it just shows that it can happen to the best of us, It doesn't, the mountains don't take any prisoners, particularly big ones like Everest and K2.
But those who are still able to climb, what will they draw from his pioneering techniques?
I think more and more people are going to emulate him. It is the way forward to climb light and fast and push the difficulties. I mean, there are a lot of people on Everest at the moment. I don't know how many, possibly 500 people attempting Everest at the moment. Most of those are what we call clients. They're not that experienced. They're going with guides, you know, mountain guides and local Nepalese people who are mostly Sherpas. That isn't what the cutting edge of climbing is about, whereas Ueli was doing the cutting edge of climbing on Everest. He would have no doubt gone on to do things on K2, which is the second highest, but much, much more difficult than Everest. So proper climbers are going and doing great things, and he set the bar high as Ueli, and people will follow on for sure. He'll go down in history.
Alan, thank you very much. Alan Hinks, thank you very much for sharing your memories of Ueli Steck.
Cheers.
The authorities in the United States say that several tornadoes that hit Texas yesterday evening have left at least 5 people